You are fluent if you can change these. And I want to just let you know that if you are someone who enjoys developing your overall English fluency, please hit that like button, subscribe. That way I can become your teacher. My name is Wes. The channel is Interactive English. It's all about trying to help you reach your fluency goals. So in this lesson, I want to test your English fluency. Now, the first thing that I want to say is that fluency is very subjective. I've met many learners over the years that I think they have achieved fluency, but maybe they don't feel that way. So just keep that in mind, because often when you talk about things like the IELTS or TOEFL, instead of fluency, they use words like proficiency as far as your ability. So keep that in mind, that fluency is subjective, but yes, I think that if you can change all of these sentences and transform them, then yeah, you've certainly achieved fluency. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to take sentence 1 and we're going to change it into sentence number 2, like changing from a caterpillar into a butterfly. So this is an exercise that is called keyword transformation. So basically, I'm giving you one sentence and you need to change it so that it has the same meaning. You want to change it to another sentence that has the same meaning as the first one. And as we go through this, I am going to start with some sentences that are more at the B2 level. This is a level of upper intermediate proficiency, and then we'll move to a C2 level, C1 level, and then onto a C2 level. Some of them may be a little easier than others, but in general, I think they fall within these categories. Let's start with the first one, some B2 sentence transformations, and you have a better idea as I show you this. So you have this first sentence up here. This train should have arrived 5 minutes ago. I want you to use this word, this is the key word, supposed, and I want you to put it in this sentence right here and complete it. So what I would say is that you can write your answer in the comments, write your answer in the chat. This is Interactive English. I want you to participate in the lesson, and yeah, let me know as I go through this. I will try to give some shout outs here and there. So this train is late. 5 minutes ago. Okay, I want you to change it. So the first sentence, this train should have arrived 5 minutes ago. This is like our caterpillar. Let's change it into the butterfly down here. This train is late. 5 minutes ago. There are different ways to do this. So I'm going to give you one response. There may be other ways that are also correct. So I don't want you to think that there is only one answer for all of these. It really depends on the sentence. Excellent, Angela, Rose. So the answer, I'll go ahead and show you because I have quite a few of these that I want to get through. This train is late. It was supposed to arrive 5 minutes ago. Supposed to do something. It was supposed to arrive 5 minutes ago. So both of these sentences have a similar meaning. Let's go ahead and look at the next one. So our first sentence, I regret not studying more for the exam. I want you to use the word only and include it in this other sentence, if more for the exam. So generally, when I give you these blanks, there's probably anywhere from 3 to 5 or 6 words that are missing. And I really like these exercises because I say fluency because it's really testing both your grammar and your vocabulary. And I think this is important, your grammar and vocabulary. I see people putting in some different answers for the last one. Excellent. Good to see you. Lolly, Vicky, Gustav, welcome. Love seeing members join these live streams. So what do you think? I regret not studying more for the exam. I want you to use the word only if more for the exam. All right. Nice. Lolly. Talal, I'm missing one word in there, only. Remember, you got to include only. Nice, Julia. So the answer, if only I had studied more for the exam. All right, so you regret something, you could express that like, oh, if only I had done this thing. That is another way of expressing regret. If only I had studied more for the exam. Excellent. Okay, the next one. Our spending will have to be reduced next year. I want you to take this, again, same meaning, and put it in the next sentence. We will have our spending next year. What do you think? So I actually think the meaning is the same, but I think this is probably more commonly used if you want to express this thought or idea. At least that's the way that I would say it in this case. So you got to, we got to reduce our spending next year. How are we going to say the same thing using back? That is our key word. So there is, again, I think got it. Excellent. I see one correct answer. I can't apologize if I can't say everybody's name or give all the shout outs. So we're talking about cutting back, but you need to follow that with another preposition. So this is kind of like a 3-word phrasal verb. You could think about it. Something that you need to do, which is to cut back on, you actually, where is it? We need to cut back on our spending next year. So even then, I think I forgot to include on. I'm starting to think we will have to cut back our spending next year. I think that works as well, to cut back. But I would actually say that I would add on to this. You want to cut back on something. So for example, a lot of times people would talk about this with like eating or something, and you want to cut back on your sugar intake or something like that. I think cut back works, but I think cut back on would probably be better in this context. Again, I find some things that I would like to change as I go through these lessons. The next one, I went for a walk, all right, he said. So I put those quotation marks in there to show that this is direct speech. Somebody is actually saying this statement. I went for a walk, okay, he said. I want you to change this and use the word said to complete this other sentence, which I'll go ahead and tell you is indirect. So we're changing something from direct speech to indirect speech, and I want you to think about how you would do this. And of course, you're going to use the word said. This is a little more grammar because you need to think about the verb that is being used in direct speech and then how you are going to use that when you change it to a sentence that is indirect speech. I went for a walk, he said, would be like changing this to the following. All right, see some good answers in there. He said he had gone for a walk. So in general, if you say something in the present, then when you move that to indirect speech, it will change to the past. In this case, the sentence using the past, I went for a walk, we're then going to use the past perfect. He said he had gone for a walk. And that is a sentence in indirect speech. Great job. I see some good answers. All right, we're gonna start to make this a little more difficult. So now I have some more, but I would say this is more at the C1 level. So this is an advanced level of proficiency, and let's look at the first one. The company has a good reputation in the community. All right, the company has a good reputation in the community. You can read that sentence. I think you understand it. I want you to use the word highly and complete this sentence down here so that it has the same meaning. Changing a caterpillar into a butterfly. So the company of in the community. I think a word that would give you a hint would be that word of. So you can try to use that to think of other phrases that you could use with highly to express the same thing. The company has a good reputation in the community. The company of in the community. This one, I would say, is also, again, part vocabulary. Thinking of what phrase would you use so that it has the same meaning. So if we want to use the word highly so that it has the same meaning, you could say that the company is highly thought of in the community. If you think highly of someone or something, it would be like saying, well, yes, this person or this company has a good reputation. People think highly of this person, or in this case, the company, to think highly of someone. Excellent, nice. Talal, Pelageia, perfect. Good. Let's keep going. And the next C1, sentence transformation, is right here. Yesterday, I informed my boss in writing that I would be leaving the company. I want you to use the word notice when completing the next sentence so that it has the same meaning. And I think maybe this one is a little easier. It depends on, again, what you end up studying when it comes to English, because I think this is definitely more like business English. You would hear this. You're going to, I don't want to give it away. I to my boss yesterday. Somebody's leaving the company. What phrase are you going to use? And there are different ways. I see some, again, you handed in your notice. That would work. I wouldn't say you really sent in your notice. You could hand it in. Or, again, if I want to think of a collocation that you could also use with the word notice, you could give someone your resignation notice. I gave my resignation notice to my boss yesterday. So with this one, again, I think there are different ways you could complete this using the word notice. I did want to point out that that is a common collocation talking about your resignation notice. You're quitting, you're leaving the company, and you give your resignation notice. All right, excellent. Yeah, and again, like I said, there are different ways. See something like your 2-week notice. That's very common, especially I think in the US. Perfect. So here's another one, and I want you to change this first sentence. I'm really giving you 2 sentences, some information about this person. If I said, she is a full-time student and she is a waitress. Okay, I'm giving you 2 sentences telling you about this person, and I want you to use the word addition to complete the following. She is also a waitress. I feel like probably you're going to know how you're going to start this because it's a common phrase, but then you got to think about, well, how are you going to complete the rest of it so that it has the same meaning? What are you going to follow if you say, well, if I go ahead and tell you like in addition, okay? So in addition, how are we going to, what are we going to do with that? Great job. I see some excellent answers. Nice. Angela, English Thought, Miranda. So when we start out with in addition, all right, in addition to what? We're going to follow that with a gerund. In addition to maybe doing something. In this case, we're talking about the verb to be. She is a full-time student. So the gerund being. In addition to being a full-time student, she is also a waitress. In addition to being a full-time student, she is also a waitress. So I think you can get that in addition to. The trickier part would be like, okay, what are we following that with? The gerund. In addition to being something. All right, let's look at another one right here. I think learning to use a typewriter is a waste of time. Somebody may say this, yeah, I think using the typewriter, I think learning to use the typewriter is a waste of time. I want you to express that same idea using point. I don't how to use a typewriter. Again, this is really getting the vocabulary juices flowing. You have this idea and you want to think, okay, what word or phrase do I need to use that means the same thing? But then you got to add the grammar on top of that to make sure that you're using the right grammar. Perhaps if it's an infinitive or a gerund, like we just talked about. So I think learning to use a typewriter is a waste of time. Somebody could also say, I don't how to use a typewriter. In this case, I think we're talking about point. So I see I feel like, again, you could say, like, you don't get the point of doing something, but I think more commonly you could say, I don't see the point. I don't see the point. What? I don't see the point of learning how to use a typewriter. So again, like, you may hear people use it with get. I don't get the point of learning to use it. In that case, if you're saying I don't get the point, it's almost like you don't understand. In this sense, it's like, well, you do understand what's going on. You just don't think it's important. You think it's a waste of time. So in that case, I think it's more appropriate to use a verb like see. I don't see the point. Like, why are we doing this? The one thing that I want to point out with this is that we're following, I don't see the point of doing something, but you may also follow it with in. You don't see the point in doing something, and this is when English can, become a little tricky. But let me show you. We can check out Ngram Viewer. This is a way of us. Ngram Viewer takes like written English and then shows you how frequently certain phrases are used. And this is a perfect example that you can see. Both of these are correct. You don't see the point of doing something, or you don't see the point in doing something. But as you can see, more commonly, people are going to follow this with of. I don't see the point of doing this thing, but in, that is not incorrect. And I know this is when English can be a little tricky and confusing, especially when it comes to these prepositions and people just want to follow a rule. Like, wait, is it of or is it in? And it can be a little frustrating if I sit here and tell you, well, both are okay. So let's look at some more difficult ones. These are C2 transformations. So again, this is in Cambridge's highest level of proficiency. And I have some sentences for you at this level. And again, it depends on the circumstance. Some of those other ones maybe seemed a little harder than these. It really just depends. It's difficult to know what my reaction would have been in that situation. I want you to use the word how and complete the sentence. I'm not in that situation. So we're still ending the sentence with in that situation. It's difficult to know what my reaction would have been in that situation. I almost said the word because and then it would have started to give away the sentence. I'm not in that situation. So what else could you say that would have the same meaning? Again, write your answer in the comments. If you're watching this later, you can write your answer in the chat right now. I love it when people are participating in the lesson. So in this case, think about I'm not. Thinking about that idea, I think you can put together the next word. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how, and then you can start piecing more of it together. Nice. I like some of these responses. So here is the way you could complete the sentence. I'm not sure how I would have reacted in that situation. Would have plus the past participle, which in this case, reacted. I'm not sure how I would have reacted in that situation. Here is the next one. Great job. Again, there are many people, Vicky, Gustav, nice. Julia, just give some more shout outs. We can drive, but I would prefer taking the train. Okay, so this is the first idea, and I want you to use the word averse and complete this sentence. Although, I would prefer taking the train. What do you think? Although, I would prefer taking the train. I think in this case, I would say you really need to know the meaning of our key word right here, averse. And it is a more advanced, a C2 word. And I think there are other, again, I don't want to give it away. If we use it as a noun, again, thinking of other words in the word family. So if you know the meaning of the word averse, you can start to piece it together. So that's why I said this is really vocabulary and grammar, which is why I love these exercises. You're testing two things at once. You get the best of both worlds. We can drive, but I prefer taking the train. We could start out the sentence, although, all right, we're talking about averse. Averse means like, you know, you don't really want to do something. But in this case, you're saying, well, we can drive. So in that case, you would want to say, I am not averse to driving. You are not averse to doing something. It means like, well, you will do it. You are willing to do this thing. Like in that first sentence, we can drive. So although I'm not averse to driving, I'm not completely against it, I would prefer taking the train. So that's why I said you kind of need to know the word averse. You're not averse to doing something. And I mentioned another word in the word family like an aversion. If you say you have an aversion to something, you have a dislike to doing this. So if I said, oh, I have an aversion to raw eggs, all right, then I just don't like it. So in this case, you don't want to say that, like, oh, although I'm not averse to doing this thing, that you're okay with it. It's fine. So that one's a little trickier. You really need to know, again, the meaning of averse and then understand that you need to put it in the negative. You're not averse to doing something. You're willing to do it. All right, here is the next sentence, which is true. Okay, next Wednesday is my 7th wedding anniversary. I want you to use the word will, put it in this sentence right here, next Wednesday, years. Again, I have to, I want to keep, like, kind of keep the conversation going. I just don't want to sit here in silence. Obviously, you guys can kind of think it through. But as I talk, I end up, giving hints, and I don't want to do that just yet. So I want you to use will. All right, well, thank you for the congratulations. I appreciate it. Next Wednesday, years. So one thing we're saying, like my 7th wedding anniversary. You can see that the word 7th, that is a ordinal number, okay? 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Down here, we're talking about years, and with years, you're not going to use ordinal numbers. You're going to use cardinal numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so you know that the sentence is going to end 7 years. And then how can you kind of piece it together from there? Nice. Talal, good job. So we're talking about next Wednesday. All right, what is the subject of the sentence? It is me, I. All right, and then what verb tense are we going to use? All right, in this case, we're talking about the future perfect. Next Wednesday, because that is in the future. I will have been married for 7 years. It started in the past and has continued, not to the present, but to a future moment, which is next Wednesday. So that's where you really got to think about the grammar. So excellent, nice. As far as getting that grammar, Vicky Gustav, Talal, Ava, well done. So in thinking about these, I see some sentences that, again, are very close, but maybe missing one word. Like perhaps you were missing that helping verb, have. So in that case, again, I will have been married for 7 years. Here's the next one. Once this contract is signed, the agreement is binding. Once this contract is signed, the agreement is binding. I want you to use the word by to complete the sentence as soon as you and then the agreement. There are, again, notice as these get more difficult, there are more words missing in these sentences. So you need to think of, several words that you're going to use to complete the sentence and using by. And one of the key words in there, which I think, again, you can change it around, one of the key words in this first sentence is binding. All right, you say something is binding, that it is formal, you cannot get out of it, that typically in the eyes of the law. But in thinking about binding, you can use that or part of that word with by. So what are we talking about doing? We're talking about, once the contract is signed. So in this case, as soon as you do what? As soon as you sign the contract, all right, what happens? Okay, so it's really it's a complex sentence in two parts. I see close, Tatiana, as far as think about that subject, because we're talking about you. If I really want to be nitpicky with some of the grammar, as soon as you do something, which is sign the contract, then you are bound by the agreement. So saying something is binding, another way of phrasing this is saying that you are bound by something. We're using that past participle and then by this thing. You are bound by the agreement. So again, these can be a bit tricky, but hopefully as we've gone through them, you have, again, thinking about the vocabulary, the grammar, it really helps you put a lot of this together. So of course, now that we've gone through this, and I said, if you can change these, you've achieved fluency, I want to know how you have done on the quiz. So I am going to put, let's do a little poll, and I'll ask this question. You can let me know. How did you do on the quiz? And I'll give you a few different answers. I am fluent, and I'll say that is 100%, or I am almost fluent, or I'll just add one, I need to study a little more. Okay, I'll put that poll in there. Of course, I'm always curious as to how you feel like you did on this quiz right here. And I feel like probably for many of you, there may have just been like one small mistake here and there, that perhaps you got the idea and you knew it, but as far as like putting the grammar and using the correct grammar, maybe there was a slight mistake. But these are difficult. These are definitely these are challenging exercises, which is why I think they are often used not just in English classrooms, but on those proficiency exams, because you're able to test both grammar and vocabulary. So you need to study a little more. Hey, that's okay. I'm glad that you're here studying with me and practicing week in and week out. That's the best way to improve your skills. So it seems like, wow, typically when I've done these quizzes, I feel like, especially when it's just vocabulary or something like that, most people are like, oh yeah, I rock that quiz. Seems like this one, everybody's saying they need to do a little, they need to study a little more. But there is, seems like, wow, about a little over 10% of you have achieved fluency, and I am proud of you. And I hope that you continue to practice and improve your skills watch these lessons, participate in these lessons, because like I said, this is interactive English. If you enjoyed the lesson, please hit that like button. It lets me know that I should do more of these. Always write to me in the comments because I love hearing from you, and I try to write back to you as much as I can. And of course, I will be back in the near future with another lesson. Just want to say some goodbyes to Lolly, Julia, Angela, Vicky, Gustav, Talal, Aldina, Rose, Tatiana. I'm just trying to go through, see names that are participating. Galdi, Pelagoya, perfect. Lena, thank you guys for being here. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon. So long.